Hey everybody, hey, welcome back to the 53206 cast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Meg.
And we are here to talk about what it is like, what life is like in the inner city of Milwaukee. We are currently located in the 53206 zip code, which is the poorest zip code in the state of Wisconsin. And it is located on the north side of Milwaukee. 53206 is 99.2% non-white. And the median household income is $24,000 a year. We are white and we make more than $24,000 a year. And so being here, we're a little bit of an anomaly. And because of that, our backgrounds growing up in the suburbs of Chicago for myself and for Meg, suburbs of Madison. We kind of have 2 feet in 1 foot in each of 2 different places. And so we have a variety of perspectives, one coming from more affluent suburb, and then the perspective that we have from living here for the last 14 years in, again, the inner city of Milwaukee. So, Meg.
Yes.
What would you like to talk about?
I wanted to talk about yesterday, Dexter, on the way to his camp, asked me if it was illegal to sleep in cars.
Do you know if it is or isn't? I have no idea.
I have no idea.
I would assume, you can't park a car on the street in Milwaukee overnight without a night parking pass.
Okay.
And so I suppose if you didn't have a night parking pass, it would be illegal, technically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the type of person that enjoys a good sleep in the car.
I'm not. I got to stretch out my feet. I can't do it anymore. I'm too old for that.
Typically, it's at a rest stop, or if I'm driving through the night, maybe pull off, off an on-ramp and find a parking lot that's empty. But typically, it's more of a decision on my part to do that rather than out of necessity. So yeah. I'm assuming that he brought this up for a reason.
I don't know why he brought it up, to be totally honest.
Well, when I go for my runs in the morning, so I'll typically, if you don't know this, I typically leave my house in the 53206 zip code and I run down to the Pfizer Forum where the Milwaukee Bucks play. And it's about a 2 mile there and 2 mile back. And so on that 2 miles, I would say on average, I do, if I get out early enough, I'll see at least one person sleeping in their car on my run. I think the highest number of people I have seen in one run was 4.
Really?
And I would say,
I'm surprised by that.
Really?
Yeah, I am.
Oh yeah, I guess we've never actually talked about it.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that.
So I would say on average probably about two people.
Okay.
Today, because we kind of said maybe we'd want to talk about this, we weren't totally sure, but because of that today I looked and it was 2. There's 2. So.
And is it generally a couple or just one person?
Typically it's one person.
Okay.
Sometimes it's the same person multiple times. So not multiple and it's not like they sleep and then move their car and then come back. No. But multiple days in a row.
Yeah.
So there was somebody with a Suburban one time and I there was about a week where they progressively kind of just up and down our street.
Moved a little bit.
Yeah, moved a little bit.
Yeah.
And, the car, it wasn't like they were parked there for a week straight. Parked there to sleep, and then one night maybe they'd be in a parking lot. The next night it'd be on the side of the road. You have a story, I guess.
Yeah.
About you want to tell that story?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it was about 2, maybe 3 months ago. I looked out our window right in front of our house, and there was a couple that were in their car. And the same car was there a few days in a row. And I actually had a really big problem with it. My initial reaction was I was mad. I was mad to look out the window, and it disrupted what I usually see.
So just tell everybody, because I don't actually even know. So let me just ask you a couple of questions. Was the car there for a week straight, or did it come and go?
That's a good question. I think it did come and go, but it was there and it was only 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
It was only max of 3
but
days.
it wasn't like it was
max 4.
it wasn't like it was 4 24-hour periods in a row that the car was parked there. It was a little off and on, back and forth. But typically came back to that one spot. Okay.
Yes.
And so you said you got mad?
I got mad.
What made you mad about it?
You know, and I really tried to think this through, because I thought it was strange that my initial reaction was really, anger, and I wanted them to move. To be honest, I thought, why can't they just move down the street a little? And I didn't like seeing them there. And I really think, digging into it, that I had a problem because I felt uncomfortable, because they were so...
Like, what kind of uncomfort?
I felt...
You weren't afraid.
I was not afraid. Okay. No.
That was a question.
Yeah, I was not afraid. I think it just made me feel very uncomfortable. It made me feel uncomfortable because to put myself in their situation, I can't even fathom that. It's so hard for me to be able to not have a house, not have a place to live, not have a family member to stay in their house. There's so many things that I would not have to have.
So many things would have to go wrong.
Yeah.
Currently, so many of the safety nets that we have would have to be broken or non-existent.
Yeah.
In order for us to be in a similar position.
And that I think that made me so uncomfortable. It made me... Yeah, I was seeing just such a raw snapshot of their life, and sure. I didn't like what I was seeing, because it made me so uncomfortable.
Right, because if you're sleeping in your car for multiple nights in a row, that means that you're essentially assuming that they're not just traveling. Mm-hmm. And I mean, did you have? I guess maybe even let me just ask that question. I mean, did you get the impression that they were just in town for a visit, or like was it? Was it pretty obvious?
It was pretty obvious. Okay. Yeah, they would like bring food, and then they would like eat food in there.
Sure.
It was very obvious. It was very.
So it was
different.
obvious that like they had hit a very rough patch.
Yes.
And were forced, for whatever set of circumstances they were in, they were forced to be in the position where the majority of their time was being spent inside of the car, and they were sleeping inside of the car.
Yes.
And so they were homeless. But still had a vehicle.
Correct.
And so they weren't technically, I mean, I guess suppose that would be technically out on the street, but not in some of the same ways that we would see somebody maybe downtown that we would recognize as being homeless.
Yeah.
But that would be, I don't want to say a way of life, because that's not necessarily the way that we should think about that.
Yeah.
But these people were in a rough spot, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they had a real rough spot, and I think it just made me very uncomfortable, and I didn't want to see them.
Do you think I'm assuming at some point your thoughts changed?
Yes.
So talk to us about how, or could you tell me about how your thoughts changed?
I work from home, and so I was literally just looking out and seeing that car. It was just, it was so in my face.
So from the window of your office,
yes.
The window of your office faces the street.
Yep.
And the car was parked basically right in front of the house. So it was in your line of sight all day long. Okay.
All day long. I mean, I feel like...
And you do, I mean, I don't know that somebody that is listening to this would know this. Obviously, they don't know you. They have no idea that you do this. But typically throughout the day, you do look out the window quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like you would at any other job where you had a window
I have a window office. So yes, I'm thinking about something and I'm looking out the window, and I just kept seeing them. And I think I kept getting angrier and angrier. And then I realized... I just came to this realization of, they don't want to be in this situation.
Oh, sure.
Who am I to, who am I to, tell them to go down the road a little bit? That is just...
Well, yeah, that would be a tough conversation to have. I don't know how that would go over.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah.
And so looking back, I mean, I was quite disgusted with my initial thoughts. And I so kind of to bring back to the story of Dex.
Oh yeah.
I told him about it, and I told him how it was, how I had these thoughts of I didn't like that a person was was in front of our house, and I told him that was wrong. That was wrong to initially judge these people or, think poorly of these people, because I don't know their background. I don't know what they've tried. I don't know where they've come from.
Right. Yeah, there's always so many things that you just don't know.
Yeah.
You just have no idea.
Yeah. And I think the funny part of the, so let's go back to when, I was just looking out the window thinking, I was wrong for thinking that. I went to go grab, I feel like you remember this. I went to go grab, we had some water.
There was a case of water sitting out in the garage or something, yeah.
Yeah, and so I went to go grab it, and I went to go bring it to them, and they were gone.
And they didn't come back at all after that?
They didn't come back after all, and I was actually disappointed that I couldn't bake them banana bread or give them something, because I felt really bad about how I had thought of them.
I wonder why that manifestation of poverty bothered you when all around us is the manifestations of poverty.
Yeah.
I wonder why that one in particular was upsetting to you.
It's a good question.
Was it? I mean, now I'm wondering. Okay, well, maybe it was because it was a new experience. Yeah. It was outside of the ordinary experiences that you would have had.
Yeah.
Because many of the people that live here are one step removed from that, or
exactly. A lot of people that are in our neighborhood are, a few days missing work, and they will not have a home to live in.
Yeah. Yeah, they could easily get themselves in a similar situation.
They could.
Very quickly. It would take us, things would have to go so bad for so long.
Yeah.
That I couldn't imagine that we couldn't make it right.
Because we even have so many family members that we could stay with.
Yeah.
Or, there's just so many safety nets that we have in place. And I think a lot of that has to do with, our white privilege and, where our family came from. And I think a lot of poor Black people don't have that safety net because of systemic racism, because of, all the years that have kind of gone wrong for people in America.
Sure, I could see that. Yeah, and it's a social class issue, or it's related to social class, because neither of our families, by any stretch of the imagination, neither of our families and nobody in our families is really in any type of danger of moving into poverty.
Yeah.
We're all pretty well established in careers and lifestyles, and so to think that so many things would have to go wrong personally for us, but then also all of these other people farther down the line.
Yeah.
I just couldn't really see it ever happening. Now, with that being said, there obviously there could be something, and we could be that at that point. Okay, so Dex is asking you about this, and you're not sure if it's illegal, and so you're kind of going back and forth. And then what happened?
So then I told him that there were these people that were in front of our house for a few days, and how I judged them, and I thought that they shouldn't be sleeping in our front.
Did he seem pretty responsive to that when you explained your line of thinking and how you had thought one way and now you are backtracking on it because of some new information or some self-reflection?
Yeah, reflection.
Was he pretty receptive to that idea? Because he's 7, so it's not like his cognitive ability is
he was
overly established yet, but yeah.
And so I asked him, next time somebody is in front of our house, what do you think we should do? How should we think about it? And he said, I think we should bring them out some bananas.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I thought that was just precious.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like
good kid.
It seems like he was much more he realized.
Yeah, he had empathy immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Which kids typically do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that now that we're just kind of talking about sleeping in cars and maybe going back to my runs real quick, Yeah, I would say, about on average, about 2 people a day. And it never looks comfortable. And
I know.
I would never get the impression that it was somebody that had pulled off the highway to sleep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be kind of my frame of reference. That would be something that I would do if it was me. If that was the case, I would probably have out-of-state plates because I was traveling. I would probably be up earlier than when I'm out run. Well, I don't know. I guess sometimes I get up pretty early and run, but I would probably consider it be out-of-state plates. Probably have a car like packed full of stuff. But honestly, I would probably try to find a neighborhood that was a little more visually appealing, or at least a little less dangerous looking. I don't see the people that are sleeping in their cars are rarely white, as far as what I've seen. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means either. But
maybe it's just
an observation.
Yeah,
but
maybe they know the neighborhood.
True, and maybe there's a comfort level with our particular neighborhood,
and they know that the street's pretty busy. So
it is a busy street.
It's a little bit more safe. If you're, don't want to get broken into.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely clearly there's a difference between sleeping in your car from choice or necessity. But yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, even after one night when I choose to sleep in the car, it's not like it's great sleep, and it's not like I feel great the next day.
Yeah.
I could see that as being pretty hard to kind of work your way out of. If you've had to sleep in the car for a couple of nights in a row, I can't imagine getting up and going to work and having a normal functioning life would be something that you would even be able to work your way into,
That reminds me of that Saved by the Bell episode.
Which one?
Where he started dating the girl who was sleeping.
Oh.
Her and her dad were sleeping in the car. Do you remember that one?
No, I don't remember that one.
Oh, yeah. Zach's dad came and helped him get a job. The dad. Oh. It was very nice episode. I feel like Saved by the Bell knew it was up back in the 90s.
Yeah, there you go. It's very, very prophetic. We were talking a lot about Full House today for some reason. Oh, I was talking about the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen movie, Getting There, where they drive down to Florida in the red convertible, and the tagline is it's not about the destination. It's about the journey, not the destination. But then we brought up Alanis Morissette, and then we brought up Uncle Joey, and that whole conversation about Alanis Morissette and Uncle Joey. So, all right, well, I think we've kind of wrapped that up. Is there anything else you'd like to say about that?
Just to wrap it up, I think I just wanted to, have put out to the world that, when you see something uncomfortable, maybe think about why it's so uncomfortable for you. And maybe that reaction isn't the best sometimes. Sure.
Well, you gave yourself a lot of grace because you weren't overly stuck on this idea that you had thought the wrong way, and then you were able to pretty quickly say, well, I don't actually, and I had the same types of things happen to me all the time. Mm-hmm. So that was really great that you were able to see that your original line of thinking was a little flawed, and probably coming from more of a place of emotion and maybe not necessarily fear, but maybe fear a little bit.
Yeah.
Awkwardness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and we don't have to get into this a whole bunch, but sometimes when you see people parked in their cars for long periods of time, it's not because they're down on their luck. It's because they just bought drugs from around the corner, and now they're going to sit there and do that for a while, which has its own set of circumstances and side effects. So, all right, well, so nice job with that. Nice job changing your mindset.
Thank you.
And I can say that whole process of having self-awareness and then perspective is what helps us grow in empathy, which is how you can empower yourself or others to change. Yeah. So, if you had approached the car with your original mindset or your original frame of reference, that wouldn't have gone well. No. And you wouldn't have been doing anybody any favors, or you wouldn't have been helping. But I think the next time, if you if you did see somebody and you brought them out something, I think that's great.
Yeah. We'll see.
Really smart of you. So nice job.
Thanks.
All right. Well, now it's the time of the show where we are going to give an update on Miss Maggie's house. Megan, I have a question for you. Can you update us real quick on the progress of, or the process of, trying to purchase Miss Maggie's house?
It hasn't gone anywhere.
All right. So there you go. This is your quick update on Miss Maggie's house. No, we can kind of get into it a little bit. So it's been about a week, maybe 6 days, 5-6 days since the last time we had any information on the house, and we haven't, like we said, we haven't really made much progress. There was an original deadline to have some papers filed,
and it did get extended.
Okay, the deadline passed. However, it did get extended.
Mm-hmm.
We want to give a big shout out to Jen, our realtor that we're working with. I don't know that she realizes it, and hopefully that we can communicate this really nicely and eloquently to her, that she is actually making a difference, and she's actually helping to work in the racial reconciliation work that needs to be done within our country, because she is helping. She's helping make our neighborhood better. Our neighborhood is going to be better if somebody with the means to fix the property, to maintain the property, to get a quality tenant, or even just to let it sit as a resource house or something like that. The people that have the resources, which is in our sphere of influence right now, is us, can do something with the property to make it a positive space in the neighborhood instead of it turning into slowly a negative space. So the 14 years that we lived here, it's been an extremely positive experience living next to Miss Maggie and getting to know her.
Yeah. Can I just say one of my positive experiences with Miss Maggie?
Sure.
So I think it was probably when Dex was about 2. So I'm a web developer, and I've worked from my home, and I started being a web developer when Dex was born. So
7 years ago.
And so I used to just kind of randomly call Miss Maggie and be like, hey, can me and Dex just come over and hang out with you for an hour? And so we would go up, and she would sit in the front area of her house, kind of looking out on the highway, and we would just sit and talk. And it was just such a neat, I just look back on it very fondly. But one of the times, I was asking about her husband, and she was showing me pictures of him, and he died 30 years ago. Okay. And, she never remarried or anything, and she still loves him so much. Yeah. And it was just, it was beautiful that, she just still has so much love for her husband. And, I don't know
if you're going to have the same for me. That's okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, she really, 30 years and he's gone, and she's, True. just still talking about him so wonderfully, and just like he was such a fine gentleman, and showing me pictures of, just this handsome young looking guy, and,
really cool.
Yeah, it was just a really neat opportunity that I had with her.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Dex was playing with all the stuff, and I was like, "Don't break anything,"
It's two.
Yeah. So it was always a interesting time. But she always loved it, just sitting there with her, we were chit chatting. Yeah,
it's great.
It was nice.
All right. Well, so I think that probably wraps things up for today.
Yeah.
If you have any interest in reading anything that we do, so we're trying to do a bunch of different things, actually. And you know what? I think before we wrap up, it might be kind of nice just to mention quickly. And so if you're watching this on video, you've probably seen I got a hat, and the hat was designed by a guy named Travis, whose mother still lives in the neighborhood.
And she has lived here forever. Her dad lived here.
Oh, wow.
Planted an apple tree that is ginormous. He planted it from seed.
Wow.
And I'm always blown away that people can actually do that, because that has
seems to be
really...
a theme here. Is
Yeah.
living here for a long time and planting trees
Yeah.
because everybody like
So
we also
cool.
have one, so it's not like it has anything to do with the neighborhood. Maybe that's just a thing that people do is plant trees
Yeah.
and then watch them grow, I guess.
It's really neat.
Yeah, it is a pretty
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did not plant our cherry tree from seed, though.
Oh, true. No.
It's very impressive.
No, yeah, it was a couple. Yeah, it was like 3 feet tall, but
Yeah.
it's a big tree now.
It is a big tree.
All right, so one of the things that we're going to try to do. So I was just about to tell you, hey, if you would like to read any of the any of what we were talking about, there's several longer form pieces that are on our website 53206.org. Specifically, I just am wrapping up a series on education and educational reform because the clearest and easiest pathway to equity is through education reform.
And how do you know anything about education?
Well, I'm a school administrator or whatever you call my job. I work at a school and I do things at the school. But one of the things that we are really proud of is basically the student population that we serve. We are a project-based learning high school, and we used to be an alternative school. And we kind of came to the conclusion that the way that things were operating was actually creating and perpetuating inequities instead of what was ideally supposed to be happening, which was we were closing achievement gaps. But just in the way that our structure, that we were structured, and there's like the larger systemic structure, it was actually potentially, at least it could be seen as not quite fulfilling what it needed to fulfill. So we changed models to a project-based learning model, which uses the deeper learning framework, which is kind of a balance between empowering a kid to grow into their self-directed identity and then being able to show mastery of content. So that would be like what a traditional student would do. Show mastery of content through their creativity in a project-based learning setting. And so like through the building or making or doing of some type of deliverable item. So the kid learns about something and then they make or build or do something to showcase that learning. We switched over to that model a little over a year ago, had a lot of really great success with it, and we're looking to expand this upcoming year. And we've got some pretty neat things in the works for virtual learning, which I know that some schools can do virtual learning in a PBL model pretty well, but we're gonna take it to a whole nother level this year. So do have some experience in education, do have some experience in that field, and really our life experiences and our perspectives from living here really do play into the way that we can create equitable school systems in general. And when we combine that with a deeper learning framework and project-based learning and really just non-traditional ways of educating students, we are able to get more equitable results because, again, we empower students to be themselves and to be individuals. And so you can't create an equitable society when people aren't empowered to be themselves. So we don't follow the typical power structures of a regular school based setting. So even though I'm somewhat in charge of some things, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It just means I'm just in charge of giving the power away to other people so that they can give the power away to kids so that kids feel empowered to go and do cool stuff. So our mission statement is have fun, learn stuff, create cool things. And that's what we spend most of the time doing, having fun, learning some stuff, and then creating stuff based off of that. So there is some writing, some longer form writings about education reform. And education reform is just a fancy term for saying just doing education in a better way. So that's kind of what some of those pieces are about. Once that series is wrapped up, we'll probably launch into something new that hasn't been decided yet. There are videos which are called Running in the Ghetto. So if you would like to know what it's like to run in the inner city, you can check out one of those videos.
You were talking about Travis.
Oh, sure. So all of that to be said, so thank you because I got off on a tangent there. I appreciate that about you. When I'm gone, who are you going to have to get back on track? Right?
It's true.
Okay, so the hat I'm wearing was designed and it wasn't printed by, but like the design and then the
color
whole
scheme
process
and
and all that was done by a guy named Travis, whose mom is from the neighborhood, lives very close by. Travis is very active in the We Got This community garden, which is a fantastic community organization that we'll have to get into at a different time. But when I saw my friend Andre have one of these hats, I thought, man, I got to get me one of those. And so when I found out it was Travis that had made them, well, I ordered 3 of them because I figured, well, this is the only hat I'm going to wear from now on. So I got 3 of them, and we thought that maybe some other people would be interested in also having some 53206 apparel because one of the big things that we are very passionate about is making sure that although we will tell you some things that happen in the inner city and try to translate them for you, we feel very passionate that unless our collective, and I mean all of our collective mindsets and views on the inner city change, nothing is going to change. Because when we don't see the people that live here for people and as individuals as assets, then there's never going to be any equity. Because you can't create an equitable society when people aren't empowered to be themselves. And many times the people that live here have had abuses of power bestowed upon them, basically like taking away their individuality. So we thought it would be awesome to throw some of those on the website because Meg is a web designer.
Very easy for me to do.
World-class web designer.
And I also feel very passionate about that we, as a collective, we should all be spending more money in the inner city,
Sure.
which is very hard to do because there
very difficult to
aren't a lot of businesses. And so Travis has a business. Let's support him. That would be great.
So we're in the works with doing that.
Yeah.
So if you check out 53206.org in the next, probably less than 2 weeks, maybe a week or so, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
We're just hashing it out right now. So in about a week and a half, we're hoping to have at least the one item put up on there for sale.
I heard that he's going to be making shirts too.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I'd like one of those.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So look for that. We also have, it turns out that, hey, guess what? People that live here really are very creative and talented individuals and just need an outlet for putting some of that stuff up for the public. So
we're looking into that.
Yep.
We need to talk that over first.
So we'd like to, at some point we would like to maybe potentially expand depending on how well this goes.
Yeah.
And please just be aware that none of the money goes at all to us. In fact, we'll probably lose money on every transaction. And that's really not the point. The point is to create business opportunities for people that live in and around our neighborhood or have a connection to our neighborhood. And to, again, try to get some of the money that typically is very difficult to spend in the 53206 zip code back into here so that people have a little bit of excess. And so,
which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
I think it's just really exciting.
Yep. So just check that for coming up here. And you're more than welcome to check us out on YouTube. We're still tweaking the name of our YouTube channel. It might be the 53206.
Did you figure out how to change that?
I have no idea how to change it.
I don't know how to change it either. So we might need to have someone, maybe Bones can help us out.
Yeah, we might need to get Bones on that.
Yeah.
Hey, Bones, if you're listening and want to help us with that, I'll give you the password. You probably know what it is. All right, well, that's all for today. You got anything else you want to say?
Nope. This has been great.
You got any other words of wisdom?
Nope.
All right, well, guess that about does it for today. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.
Bye.